sound desk and all of the sound equipment we may use, so this will be the sound part of the video. Right. So if we want to come over here to the iLive T112, this is our main sound desk. We use this for basically everything that happens in the theatre. This at the minute is not switched on, but when it is switched on, you have faders which run across here. You have 8 auxiliaries, your left, right, and subs, on 3 individual faders, so you can alter them separately. And then we have your DCAs, which is kind of like groups of certain amount of channels over here, which can be altered as one. Then we'll go into more detail of that later on when we switch it on, and we can then see how it works. Then we come to this rack here. This is a audio equipment rack. It has different things. So if you want to come over there, you'll see how it's got 2 equalisers. This is for more so analogue desks, but it can be used with digital. You've got another equaliser here, which is kind of a preset, so it's got a preset number of effects, and that can be patched in. You've got a CD player and a DVD player. The DVD player runs on BNC cable connections and RCA audio connections, and then these are on jack connections, and I believe that is on jack connections, and that's just on RCA. So then if we come to here, this is where the iLive desk goes. So from there, the signal goes to a patch bay down on the wall. That's routed up here. And for example, this grey cable is what connects the desk to its mainframe and IDR mix rack here. This has a total of 32 channels input and a total of 16 channels outputs. So they will be linked to the speakers down on stage, the subs, and so forth. Later on in the video, I will take you through how we would set this up and how we would get certain things happening, like a microphone and such like that. Then we have here, in here, equipment is lapel microphones, and these are basically these are receivers for 8 microphones, lapels that we have, and then that's just the 2 power. That's just the 2 powers all of them. So now we'll move on to actually pairing up everything and making it, see how it works, and setting up mics and stuff. So I've already taken you through what we have in here sound wise. Now I'm going to show you how you actually switch it on, so the steps you go through. To start off with, you need to make sure that the desk is zeroed from the last time it was used. That basically means that all faders need to be down. Apart from these are okay to be up, because nothing won't come through here unless these are up, so that's fine. So that's how the desk should look when you approach it to switch it on. And before you switch it on, you need to come over here to the mix rack, and you basically just run your finger along the bottom, so you press the buttons 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then you'll hear a clunk, 2 clunks, which is that switching on, and the one out the door there switching on, which will. So when you hear that switched on, and you can hear the fans going, and as you just, I don't know if you heard, but the other one just come on out there, you're now ready to switch on the actual desk itself. And at the back here, there's a button just at the side here at the back. If you press that in, it'll switch on, the fans will kick in, and the desk will start to boot up. You'll get a few. On a digital desk, you can save your scenes. So if I've got, say, 5 mics, I've got 5 musical theatre performances, and they're set there for one scene, but then maybe the next scene, then 2 are muted, and we bring in, say, a guitar, piano and drums. I can create 2 scenes where it's like that, and then you go to another scene and the motorised faders, which are all the faders on here, will move to that new scene that you've set. So as you can see, the desk is now on. You've got your little LCD screens have lit up, so that's telling you that they're ready. Your faders will have moved to the last position they were put in, and also if any faders were muted or any channels were muted, they will also mute as well. So now we just need to log in. Now if I wanted, for example, I needed to show where I'm using the Mac, I can easily just bring up these two faders, and these are already pre-patched into the Mac, which I've done earlier, and the Mac will now play through these two faders here, these two channels, and it will go through into the patch bay, then into the mix rack, out of the mix rack to the amps, which are just out there, which I'll take a snapshot of later, and then it will go out to the speakers in front of house, and the subs, providing you have them up on the desk on this side. There's a total of 60 faders on here, which can be programmed to be whatever you want them to be. They can either be inputs which are ran straight from the back of the desk, or they can be inputs from the stage boxes, which again I'll go into a video of that later on, about the stage boxes and the equipment we use down there. So if you had this in a show and you didn't name any of this, it would be pretty difficult for you to understand what is actually happening. So you want to name everything. So the way you do that is you press above all of these channels, there's a select button. So I've selected channel 6, and you can know that because it's in that column. Then over here, this screen will show channel 6 and all of its, the gate, the equaliser, the limiter and things like that. If I wanted to patch that into a different output in the mix rack, all I would do is press that, and then we have different options. We have mix rack or live surface. So for example, I'm going to patch it into the Mac, which is in the tech box, and that's in A1 on the back of the desk. So we put our live surface, and it's already selected A1. We press apply, and now that channel is now assigned to the Mac. If I wanted to then change the colour to make it easy to see, just by pressing that, I can change the colour like so, and that changes the colour down on the fader, so you can see. And then you've also got off as well, an off colour, which is basically no colour at all if you're not using it. And then you've got another good feature is name, because you might need to name this. So for example, I'm going to name this Mac, to say that that channel is now the Mac. So now in the show, I know that that channel is mainly for the Mac and nothing else. So that's just a brief of how to change the name and colour. I'm going to take you through the equipment now that we have at college for sound. This includes several pieces of equipment that can be used together or can be used on their own. So to start off with, we'll look at monitors. The simplest monitor is a wedge that has inputs for jack, and these are made by Yamaha. We don't use these that much, but this is what you'd normally find at the front of the stage to give the front fill for the sound fallback. Then we have two Behringer monitors. These are what we do use quite often. And there's the front of the Behringer, and then here's the back. We have inputs XLR and a jack, and then we have an output XLR. An individual volume control, which is normally set halfway, and then power, and what we call a kettle lead, but is actually an IEC. The place where you'd normally find them is when you're, say, watching a gig, a concert. You'd normally find these pointing towards the drummer, keyboard, guitar. This is so that they can have an individual feed from, say, the guitar may want a feed from the drummer so that they can keep in time with each other, or the keyboard may want the beat from the drummer and vice versa. And you can wire it up all different ways using what we call returns, which is basically when the signal sent from the sound desk back to stage and is looped around. Now we're going to cables. We have two storage for cables. We have a float case which has got XLRs in. We've got in here as well, we've got some more XLRs. We normally use the blue ones for things like monitors. And then we have a bag here which has got all our IEC cables in, which people call kettle leads. And the reason why they're called kettle leads is because, or people name them kettle leads, is because of the way that it looks at the front. That's normally what you plug into, like your kettle, and that's where people get that name from. And there's a whole bag of them with also extensions. Then we have one of our speakers. So if we don't want to use our PA system, we can put in our own PA system with two of these, which are Mackie speakers, and they have connections for input and output XLRs, but no jack input, so you can only run XLRs from this and to this. You can't run it with jack. Again, it has its own volume control and has a place where you can put it on the floor or put it on a pole if you, as I said earlier, put in your own sound system or your own PA system in. Then this is what the speaker goes on. So this is basically a truss. It's always pretty simple like that, and then you just lock it. And then you put your speaker on top of there, and then you adjust the height of how high you want it to be. And then you put this in to stop it from falling, and then you lock it. So that and that are two things that quite often come together and rarely are. Touring desk. As you saw the iLive desk, we wouldn't use that to tour because that's too big. We need a smaller compact desk, and this is it here. This is a Yamaha, and on here you have all of your inputs for XLRs, you have inputs for jacks, you have your gain control for all channels, you have your faders for all them channels down here, and also then your master fader, which alters the volume for everything coming through here. This is digital, the same as the iLive desk. So on here you have a screen which you can do effects with. So if you want an echo effect on a microphone, you can do that from here and apply it on the live feed, and it'll go straight out real time to the microphone, to the speakers. So we're at the back of the touring sound desk now, and there's different inputs and outputs on the back of here for various things. So for example, you've got your monitor out, left and right. This is so if you're in a scenario where you may be in a gig and you can't hear what the band are playing because of the distance from you and them, you can have a speaker next to you that can be relaying what's coming out the mains to you, and obviously you can set what comes out of there. But also they could go to speakers on stage for foldback. Then you've got your main left and right. This is everything on the desk, all of the sounds that you do and that you put through the desk all come back out here. That will then go to your PA system, which is, for example, them speakers there. They go to two of them, and then that would relay that. You've then got your MIDI down here. This is so if, for example, you was running a time-coded show and you loaded the time code onto here, and it was playing on here, the time code, you could have a MIDI coming out of there to the lighting desk. The lighting desk would then be triggered by MIDI signals sent out from here. Or if you wanted to, you could send this through to another sound desk, which could trigger, and you could trigger, say, faders to move in a certain formation on the other desk if you're using multiple desks, which is basically a guitar amp, and this is Vox guitar amp. Again, you've got your power connection, which is IC. You have your on and off switch and your different bass, treble and volume. So these are used to set things like the volume, so how much is coming out of this, how much treble, middle and bass there is, how much reverb there is, and then master is kind of like alters the whole thing as one, and instead of you having to alter like the bass and it all separate there. And then you've got your user programs here, so you can set a program to run a certain user program. So you may want reverb on one program and on another. And then we wouldn't just want that on stage. What we'd normally do is we'd then get a microphone, which I'll show you later. And you get a microphone which you would put through there, and it'd just hang in front. And then when the sound comes out of the speaker, it goes into the microphone, which is changed from vibrating air, acoustic sound waves, to electrical signal sent down the cable. Now I'm going to show you the same process, but how you do it through the pulse box that we have on stage, and what we use on stage to put all of our inputs, or XLR inputs into. So if we come around here, you'll see that this is the pulse box, this. It has 1 to 12 XLR inputs. These 1 to 12 XLR inputs go through a thick cable, which goes around to the patch bay, and that goes from 1 to 12. There's another one of these over there, which goes from 13 to, I believe, 24. And then there's another one at the back, which goes from 24 to 32. So to patch a mic into this, so it comes out of the PA system, you need to get your XLR cable. You plug it into the channel that you're going to use. So in my case, it's 5. So I plug it into channel input 5 on the pulse box. I then want to take the other end over to the microphone we're going to use, which is a handheld microphone, and I'm basically going to plug it in like that. So if I now speak into this, it will come out of PA and you will hear it. So as you can see, by me just connecting an XLR from this microphone to the pulse box, straight away I've got sound coming out into the auditorium from the PA system. So with the microphone, my voice is very loud. Without it, it means I've got to project more to talk to, say, an audience. And so the disadvantages of this is, for example, what I'm showing now is I can only go to about here before I can't go anymore. Whereas with the wireless microphone, with that you can go anywhere you want to because it's wireless. It's the receiver that has to be near the input source, in this case the pulse box. So that is basically how you patch a mic into the pulse box. Here I've got 2 microphones that are quite similar in what they do, but they look and are slightly different. This is a handheld wired microphone, and this is a Shure wireless microphone. The idea of a wireless microphone is it can go anywhere on stage or anywhere around a certain radius, and you'd be able to just use it. There's no wire there to tether you to either the patch or the pulse box. Then whereas your handheld, you're tethered to either your pulse box or the mix rack, or wherever this is going to, you're tethered to that. So how you set a handheld mic up, for example, is you take your XLR and you plug the female end into the bottom. Then you plug your male end into whichever number on here that corresponds to on there. So for example, we'll say 5. So we look here for the one that says 5, so that's this one here. And we just unplug that. And then we plug the mic in. So if now as I was to talk through to that and the disc was on, you'd actually hear me coming through the PA. The reason why there's all these yellow cables here is because this is the pulse boxes on stage. We have 3. We have 1 to 12, which is our first one, 13 to 24, which is our second one, and 24 through to 32, which is our third and final pulse box. Then all of these 16 outputs here go to the speaker system out in the auditorium, so PAs and all the subs and all the speaker places around the theatre. If I was now to plug in a wireless one, for example that, obviously I can't plug it in the bottom because this is not wired, and the way you know this is wireless is because you have a battery in the bottom, so you know that that's wireless because it has its own power source, whereas with a wired one you have power that comes from the mix rack or the desk. We then have, with a wireless mic, you have a receiver which picks up the signal from the transmitter. It's simple as the XLR goes in the back of here, and there's only an output in this, there isn't an input, so it goes in the output of there and then goes into the input on the mix rack, and that can be whatever number you've set it on the desk. For example, I'll say 5, and then you plug it in there. So now if I was to speak through the wireless microphone, the Shure would pick that up and would send it out to the PA system. The way you know that this is wireless and the way you know that if the batteries are anything is there's a green light on here which says if the battery's low or if the battery's okay to be used. So as you can see, that battery's okay to be used as it's green. If it was red, you'd need to change the battery. If you press the button, that will bring up an orange LED. That will basically means that you've muted the microphone, and anything leaving the microphone won't go to the receiver. So it cuts off the signal from the microphone to the receiver. That's in effect muting it. And then to turn it on and off, it's just holding down the button. So that's how you connect up a wired and wireless microphone to, for example, the mix rack. And that's the same process for down on stage and the pulse box. All it is that this would go to the pulse box instead of in there, and then that would come up here to the corresponding number. So if you'd done 5 in the pulse box, it'd be 5 up here in the mix rack. So what I have in front of me here is I have 2 mic stands. One is a boom mic, which is this one to the left, and one is a stand up, and this is on the right. The way you attach a microphone to this is first you need one of these, and this is a clip which the microphone sits in, and this basically just screws onto the top like so. So now that's connected, and if I was to get a microphone and I could put a microphone on there, you'll see that if that was now to be used on stage, they'd have a microphone that they can now speak into. Is because of the fact that you can alter the position and angle that the microphone is pointing in. So for example, if I just loosen this, I can have it like that, so that, so if it's, say, hanging over a piano, I can have it like that. So if it's hanging over a piano for a singer that's playing the piano at the same time, they can sing into the microphone without it being right next to them. Obviously the microphone can also point in any direction on here. So for example, when you're setting up a drum kit, you would have one of these mic stands. This is so that the sound is picked up directly from above and not from the sides, which could make it sound differently in sense of. Then to attach this to a standalone microphone stand, so one of them, so attach it to one of them, what you do is you just take off the mic holder, and it's basically the same process again, and it just simply screws on top like so. And so now it's fixed onto there, and if I was a singer in a band, I can raise this up. If I was a singer in a band, I can make it so that it's taller for me to stand here and to sing into the microphone. And then the microphone, as I says, with the boom stand, the microphone simply fits on top like that. So that's how 2 different mic stands can be used differently
that one would be used for more vocal artists at the front of the stage, and that one would be used for more drum kit, piano, anything where the mic needs to be hanging over rather than next to. So that's differences between mic stands.